Hello guys, I am back from another video and today we're talking about what if Belle was a B.O.W. So in the last video we talked about how after basically waking up and also basically encountering the rest of the Loki Familia members, he was told by Loki to take off his shirt and lay on his back on the couch to finally become a confirmed member of the Familia. After making herself bled, she would put some blood on, Belle's back, now becoming a new member of the Loki Familia. So, after that, he was told that he should probably get a new, weapon and some new armor. But Belle would just tell Loki that she, or he in this case, I meant he wants to have just a normal weapon, no, gear acquired, like for example, like armor. Because he technically does have armor, or in this case, mutations, as armor. So yeah, so he was told to go with Eyes because she's been looking to get a brand new weapon after the incident where they were told to go and, try and find out what the heck is happening in that specific forest where they first found Belle. So, after going through the streets of Arario, they would make it towards the shop of Hephaestus. Hephaestus is basically just like looking through the shop and also giving away some of her weapons to sell to the shop. After noticing that Belle is a new member of the Loki Familia, she would tell them that she would gladly make them some new weapons. And also, Belle basically revealing his face to her, she would be kinda scared but also somewhat sympathetic to him. I mean, she literally does have a similar thing to Belle, or in this case, my version of Belle, where she basically has that whole cursed eye thing. Belle basically has a similar ability to that, but instead of a curse, it's an actual mutation. So yeah. So after talking to her and also showing some blueprints for some guns, which she's quite interested in about, they would basically leave as they encounter a certain goddess by the name of Hestia. Too bad that Belle is no, or at least not a member of the, Hestia Familia because she's still struggling. So, after buying um, buying some mashed potatoes from her stall, they basically got back home as both Bet and also Loki would be kind of jealous, but they would just ignore it, thinking that, well, they're probably not in love. But for a certain girl by the name of Tione would be pretty jealous. And I mean a little. um, the specific part is little because it's the complete opposite. So after having dinner and also talking to Finn about what the heck he is and what are B.O.Ws and several of the different viruses, in dinner time, which he would tell Belle to maybe talk about it later, they would basically end the episode off where Belle is basically going to sleep as a mysterious figure would go on top of him, basically laying down on his, chest. So yeah, that was basically what happened at last episode. And so, let's talk about what happens next. So, when Belle wakes up, he would feel something heavy on his chest. As Belle would say this, "Ugh, who the hell's on top of me? What the hell this is?" As he would grab his blanket, taking it off, as it's Tione completely drunk and a bit, she has a bit of a hangover. As Belle would say this, "What the heck did I just do last night?" As Tione is still pretty sleepy as she says, "Stop moving. Sis, just stop moving. Besides, I'll just wake up later." As Belle would just, "What should I do? If if somebody comes into the room, they will just think, oh god." He does know about these types of situations thanks to Dr. Nikitich, and also learning that, not really learning, more like, being told by Dr. Nikitich that apparently one of the doctors, being a bit of a dumbass, decided to Wait for a second. Some idiot of a scientist decided to do a sick joke on Bell, or more specifically, on, Dr. Nikicic by adding a little bit of a gene thing to his, below the belt. He literally gave him the, like, let's just say his little snake there is probably has the same size as a horse's. If you probably get what that means, then don't even picture it. Don't even picture it. That doctor was a bit of a jokester, so he decided to go for that. As Bell would just say to himself, "Oh God, I know these things about." Uh, he just remembered about how his mother would tell him, or more specifically, Dr. Nikitich would tell him that there's this natural thing known as morning wood. And that always happens in every morning the because of the name, like literally by the name. And it sometimes happens if he thinks of anything, Yeah. As Belle is trying to get her, off of him, a person would knock on the door. As this, person would say this. Hey, Belle, are you awake? We're probably gonna go to a dungeon later. If you want to join, then, as Belle would say this, don't worry, I'm gonna get out, just let me, uh, um, as she would say this, okay, we'll be waiting for you. As Beth would just say, just leave him. Besides, he's already lame already. As one of them would say this, hey, he's quite useful, As Beth would just say, I'm much more useful than that useless piece of shit over there. As Belle would try to get, Tione off of him, as she would start holding onto him like a little baby. As Belle would say this, oh God, what am I supposed to do? As Belle would think, I know. As he would sprout out, I don't know, maybe like, another set of hands. These hands would have, I don't know, let's just say like more eyes on them. So they would try and grab, her, as he would grab like, I don't know, something that's similar in size to him, so she can hold, as she would hold on to that thing to dear life. As Belle would just like grab the blanket, put it all over her, or on her, as he would start leaving quietly, grabbing his stuff, as he would get out of his room, going downstairs, and sees everybody there, except for Tione, because Tione is still asleep there. Got out? So, Bet would say this, finally you're done. As one of them would say this, being Finn would say this, yes, Belle, I wanted to ask, are you perhaps going to, as he would say this, don't worry, I can probably get my weapon later or something like that. As one of them would say this, hey, why are you wearing that mask again? I mean, you're, an adventurer, and as Belle would say this, you know that somebody might get freaked out or something like that because of my mutation over here, as he would start pointing at his mask where the spot of his little mutation on his eye would be appearing. As Finn would say this, understandable, but still. As Beth would say this, oh come on, we're gonna be late. As one of them would say this, being Eyes would say this. Wait, how about Tione? As Belle would just say this. Oh, I think she was kinda sleepy. She kinda told me about that last night, and she doesn't want to join. Yeah, that's what she said. As Beth would say this. Are you sure about that? As he would say this. Yeah, I'm sure. He's kind of awkwardly laughing, as one of them, specifically Loki, is watching in the balcony of the, household, as she would think in her mind, huh, then where is she then? As Belle would say this, alright, we should probably start going now. So, after they basically left, being, them, the members of the Loki family, that basically the main ones that are basically leaving, except for um, Tione, as Loki would see this. Hmm. I wonder if she's. As she would start looking at, Belle's door, as she would say this. No way. As she would start going towards his room and sees, sure enough, Tione sleeping on his bed. As she would say this. Ooh hoo hoo. Now this is gonna sound pretty interesting for tomorrow's, storytelling. She would start laughing, and tomorrow, or in this case, in this video, she's probably gonna reveal what happened about, Tione. So, let's go back to Belle. So, after getting to the dungeon and also to the guild would not recognize Belle, as one of them would say this, being Finn. Oh yeah, I almost forgot. You're gonna be, an adventurer, so try and apply over there. As he would apply or tell Belle to go towards one of the receptionists. After going towards one of them, they would say this. Are you perhaps an expiring adventurer exactly? As he would say this. Yeah. As he would as this woman would say this. Oh, good. Then please tell me your name and your familia. As Belle would say this. Okay. The name's Nikitich. Belle Nikitich, and I'm a part of the Loki familia. As she would say this. Wait, the Loki familia? As everybody would just lit up, except for the ones that are, you know, going with Belle. As everybody would just say, wait, he's a part of the Loki familia? As they would start whispering, as Belle would clearly hear this because of his enhanced senses. As he would say this. Oh, crap. As she would say this. I see. You can go now. You're already applied. As he would say this. Thank you, miss. As she would say this. No problem. As he starts going back to his team, as everybody in the, guild is basically talking, saying, so he's a part of the Loki familia? As they started, whispering and whispering more. As Beth would just say, ugh, shut up, all of you. You're wasting our time. As everybody would just, stop. Instantly stop. As Beth would say this. Ugh, anyway, we should start going now into the dungeon. As Finn would say this. Yeah, let's go. So, after going into the dungeon, they would go through some terrifying monsters, which Belle would be, well, astonished seeing them, to be honest. Seeing these monsters were actually pretty interesting to him. But it doesn't help that Belle is basically super overpowered and kills them with his enhanced, body. What I mean by this? Well, he would mutate his arms to become almost like gigantic ass claws. As every time he gets slashed at, he would somewhat, regenerate pretty fast. And if his limbs were basically cut off, he can, turn them into their own B.O.Ws. So yeah, he's basically super overpowered. Except for one thing, if those B.O.Ws were basically not connected for too long, they would basically just die instantly. So yeah, if they're left out for I don't know, a few minutes or hours, they would just shrivel up and die. So yeah, after a while of going through the dungeon, Belle would notice a new member. Or at least a member that he doesn't know about. As he would say this, hello there, as she would say this, oh, hello, I heard that you're a new member, right? As he would say this, yeah? As she would say this, oh, my name is Leafia Veridis. What is your name? I didn't really catch it during dinner last night. As Belle would say this, the name's Belle. Belle Nikitich. And you probably know about, as she would say this. Wait, Belle Nikitich. Wait, you're that, guy, the B.O.W thing, as Belle would say this. Yeah, you're right. As she would say this. So you're basically one of those, like, monsters? As you would say this. They're more like B.O.Ws than anything else, but still, I guess you're right. As she would say this. Cool. As she would start almost looking up to him like, this is also another fate thing, so just imagine him, um, just imagine their whole relationship, kind of like, Rizka Fujimaru and Mash. Like, Mash is basically just like Leafia, or at least I think that's her name. Yeah, Leafia is basically like Mash, and for Bell, he's basically like Ritsuka. So basically, Bell is basically just like, the senpai to, to his little kohai, aka Leafia. And she would say this: you're actually pretty powerful, and the way you're able to create these things as one of his or B.O.Ws that he created after he got his, leg ripped off, it would basically shrivel up as it would die instantly. As she would say this. What happened to it? As Belle would say this. Oh yeah, over time it would probably die. So yeah. As she would say this. So it dies after a few hours? As Belle would say this. Exactly. As Beth would say this. Hey, all of you. Please be calm or whatever. Besides, we need to keep our guard up in case of like another monster coming. As Belle would say this. I guess you're right. As he would grab his sword, not really sword, more like, he more or less creates a sword basically from his bone. What I mean by this, well, he basically breaks his arm as it exposes a bone shard. As everybody would say, what the heck are you doing? As he would start transforming it into somewhat of like a bone blade. As he would say this, don't worry, and besides, I can just strengthen my bones and probably even turn them into a sword if I wanted to. As Beth would say this, alright, as he would he would start sniffing the area as he would say this. I smell something. And it ain't you. As he would say this. Are you talking about me? As they would hear a gigantic roar as something comes out of the smoke that appeared. This gigantic ass thing is. They would see a gigantic ass monster barreling towards them that resembles a gigantic lizard, almost like a caterpillar. Not really a caterpillar, it's more like a caterpillar and chameleon hybrid. So it starts spewing out this almost toxic gas as everybody would tell everybody, or at least Beth would tell everybody to like cover their nose because it's obviously poisonous. Don't don't say anything about like Beth probably getting infected by that poison because for plot reasons. But for Bell, he doesn't get affected. After all, he's basically has plot armor and also he's a B.O.W. So he would say this. Guys, it doesn't really affect me, so probably all of you, how about all of you would cover your, mouth and, nose, as they would say this. What are you going to do anyway? As one of them would say, as Belle would say this. Don't worry, I got this. As his legs would start mutating, almost resembling webbed feet, but it would also become muscular. Remember, like, just imagine him having like this like muscular like type thing, as in Muscular, the villain from like My Hero Academia. It's basically similar to that. As his arms would start getting, wrapped in this almost like biomass, um, almost like muscle fiber type thing. As he would say this, now this is gonna be fun. As he would start jumping towards this almost lizard chameleon type monster, as it starts spewing out this almost toxic like gas, but he would keep stabbing into it. This monster would start screaming out in pain as everybody would start running away. Bet would also start running away, but lets Belle try and defeat it. So, Belle would tangle with it for a few hours as Belle would get, well, swallowed up by it, as everybody would be scared, saying, oh no, Belle! One of them would say that, being Finn, as Bet would say this. Don't worry, he's fine. As one of them would say this, being Eyes. Are you sure about that, Bet? We should go say... As they would hear the monster start shaking, almost like it's almost convulsing, as something happens, as it starts, well, going on 2 feet, as something comes out of its chest as it dies, turning into a monster core. As for Belle, Belle would come out of the belly of this monster as he would say this. Damn, that's nasty. And got the monster core. As everyone would say this. That was, as one of them would say this, being, Leafia. That was amazing, Belle. And are you okay? As Belle would say this. Don't worry, I'm fine. Besides, we should bring this monster core. Damn, it's big. As they would see that it's a pretty big monster core, as everybody would be told to go towards the 7th floor. Not the 7th floor, more like the 50th floor. So, yeah, everybody would start following, well, Finn, which he knows where the 50th floor is, as they made it there to maybe rest for now. So, wait for a second. So, as everybody's just like resting and also maybe having their rations eaten by some of the characters, except for Izuku, because he's just gonna have, well, nothing. He's not really hungry all that much. As Leafia would say this. Hey, Belle, are you gonna eat? As Belle would say this. No meat. Besides, I'm not really hungry today. As Bet would say this. Why? As Belle would say this. Have you seen what happened to me last time? As they would say this, being, one of them would say, being, well, Finn, he would say, oh, I see, you don't want to eat because of the, as he would say this. Yep, I'm definitely not hungry, especially because I feel like I'm about to, you know, you know, I would rather not talk about it. So, as everybody's just like eating and also probably even a little bit of partying, they would attract some on attention. In this case, Bet would hear something in the distance. Would say, "Everybody, calm down. I meant everybody, just quiet down. I think I hear something." As Belle would say this, even though I probably might hate it, but he's right. I hear something in the distance. I think it's probably a monster. As Belle would start creating these almost tyrant-like claws resembling like Lady Demetrescu's like claws in Resident Evil Village, as they would hear a loud skreak. This loud skreak would come out of nowhere, as they would see two large gigantic ass caterpillars, or at least that's what they think. These monstrous caterpillars would start charging towards them, as everybody is basically fighting for their lives, including some of the random members of the, Loki Familia, as in the random, like, random characters, as in, like, generic, the generics, basically the ones that are basically like Cannon Fodder. As for Bell, he would start charging towards one of these, well, caterpillar monsters, as he would start slicing them apart with his, sharp claws. So wait for a second. Well, everybody's basically fighting these caterpillars. As for Leafia, she doesn't really fight because she's kind of frozen in fear. As one of these caterpillars would start charging towards her, one of them being Rivia, at least I think that's her name, would say, Leafia, watch out! As she would say this, oh no! As this caterpillar monster would get ready to eat her, but Belle would basically just go in like, the whole like hero trope, as he would basically charge in and slice this monster in an instant. As Belle would say this, are you okay? As she would say this, yeah, I'm okay. As everybody would say this, um, are you perhaps okay? Is anybody okay at least? As some of the generics or the generic characters are basically just like, well, to the brink of death. They're basically at the brink of death, but the ones that are much more recognizable, like for example, Eyes, Bet, and many others, they would, be damaged, but they're not like, super in pain. So, Finn would say, alright, everybody, we should probably go back to our, mansion, or we might get killed. As Belle would say this, yeah, that's definitely a good idea, so as everybody would start moving out to go back to their little mansion. So, wait for a second. So, after trekking through trekking backwards, going back to the entrance of the dungeon, they would be encountered by a large minotaur, or a large minotaur horde. These minotaurs would start seeing them as they would start charging in, wielding their weapons to basically kill them. As for Izuku, not Izuku, I meant Bell, goddammit, Bell would see this as Bell would tell Eyes to try and tell everybody to get out of here. Just, I'll leave him to just defend himself. But everybody would just be like, why? Why are you sacrificing your life? We can just, as Bell would just say, just leave me alone and just let me save all of you for God's sake. As Beth would just say this, yeah, let's just go. As all of them would start going back towards the entrance, as for Bell, he's gonna be fighting a lot, and I mean a lot of Minotaurs. But something happens to him. All of this blood, all of this screaming from the, members that are trying to maybe, at least tell him to stop, they're basically all gone. But except for the Minotaurs. And something snapped. It was a blur to him, but when he gets out of that trance, he sees all of the Minotaurs brutally assaulted. All of them, and I mean all of them, would be ripped apart, as all of them would just turn back into dust, turning into the monster cores, as people would say this. What did I just do? I should probably bring these cores as well. After grabbing these cores, he would start going back towards the entrance as everybody's basically worried. As everybody would see Bell basically okay, except for some of his clothing being ripped. As one of them would say this, being, well, Tiona. Tiona would say this, Bell, are you okay? As Bell would say this, don't worry, I'm fine, and besides, I'm just doing quite peachy. As he would tell everybody to get these monster cores, as after grabbing them, one of them would say this, being, Rivia. At least I think that's her name. Leafia would say this, so are you okay? As Bell would say this, yep, I'm slowly healing. And as he would be grabbed from behind by Leafia, as Leafia would say this, are you okay? As Bell would say this, don't worry, besides I'm healing, okay? As she would see that his arm, or at least the several slashes on his arm, is slowly healing, as everybody would say this, alright, let's go home. I mean, we're quite tired after all. One of them would say this, yeah, I do agree, says, well, Bet, and, or, wait for a second. As for Finn, he would say this, yeah, everybody deserves to have a little bit of rest for now. Now, everybody, let's leave. So, after getting their pay, basically in, what is that called? Valis, they would start leaving to go back to their, Loki Familia headquarters, or their Familia headquarters, or whatever. So, yeah, this is going to be the end of this episode. So, yeah. So, I hope you liked the video, comment and subscribe, and I hope to see you guys next time. Bye-bye!